time to just look around, see what's happening, listen to what's going on. And it's at that point, it says that in one of the other Gospels that Jesus started healing many who were sick and giving sight to the blind and cleansing lepers and helping lame people to walk. And basically what he's doing is everything that our Isaiah reading says is supposed to happen when God shows up to do for us what we can't do for ourselves. So when God shows up, the blind will see, the deaf will hear, the lame will walk, the lepers will be cleansed, the dead will be raised, and the good and the poor will hear good news. And so what Jesus is saying, look around, see what's happening, figure it out, go back to John and say what you just saw and heard. And basically the message was supposed to be, yes, this is the one who brings the presence of God. Not going to free John from prison, but this is the one that John was preparing the way for. And so as John's messengers leave, Jesus starts talking to the people who are listening and saying, so what do you think about John? Is John someone who's just there to say what you want to hear? Is John someone there just so that he can get some nice comfy position in the king's palace? No, John's the one who is a messenger from God. As a matter of fact, he's the greatest of there was no Old Testament yet, it was just the Bible. But he was the greatest of what we would call the Old Testament prophets. That basically what were the prophets there for? The prophets were there that when people forgot about God, they would teach them things about God, and when people stopped following all the rules, the things that they were supposed to do, to remind them to keep doing all the rules as they tried to make life work. But John is going to be the greatest of the prophets. He's going to be the one who's going to end up preparing them for God. But he's going to be the one that's going to tell them, get ready for God to show up. But it's interesting that he said, but even the greatest of the prophets is not as great as the least in the kingdom. So the greatest prophet, the one who prepared the way for the coming of Jesus, has less of what God has to offer than you do. It's interesting to look at things that way. Because all John could do is help people to admit there's something wrong, there's something missing, tell them to get ready for the one who was going to come in the future. We're in a better place than John, because we're not talking about somebody who's going to come in the future. We're ones who have experienced the presence of God. Emmanuel, God with us. We're the ones who have experienced the Holy Spirit at work in and through our lives. So what difference does that make? I think the difference is that maybe we're supposed to be the ones who are the solution to the problems of the world. Not because we have more information than everybody else, not because we work harder than everybody else to do good things, but because we are the ones who can teach the world how to live with a God who is with us. That we're the ones who, as I picture what the church is to be, we're not going to be able to compete with the world with being the best teachers of information or the best inspirers of hard work. There's a lot of people trying to teach information that they promise is going to make the world better. A lot of people telling you all the things you're supposed to do, all the self-help books and all the things, if you just work hard enough, things will be better. But what if our job is to actually just be people who learn how to live in the presence of God, who learn how to start hearing God's voice again, who learn how to experience the gifts of the Spirit working through us to bless people, who learn how to just be beloved children of God, who are not worried about impressing anybody, not worried about trying to do things to make God love them, but just people who know what it's like to be loved, so that we don't need to focus on ourselves and we can love the person around us. So what if that's what the world needs? And what would it look like if we were people who, it's not like we'll stop doing Bible study because we don't want to get any smarter, but that's not the solution to the problem. And it's not that we're going to stop doing social justice out in the world by working harder, but it's what we need to do is actually start